Good morning. Happy Sunday. So today is July 15, 2018, and this should be our fourth coffee with Dr. Z. Now, I am a little dressed because I will be going for the congressional forum right after this one. I will be on my way to Temple B'nai Israel, and that will be on 9th Avenue. I have been invited together with the other congressional candidates to be present and discuss about the issues that affect all of us here in District 1. So that will be at 1 p.m. at Temple B'nai Israel, B''NAI Israel, and that's on 9th Avenue. Of course, this will mean something very special to me. Obviously, not just as a congressional candidate, but also because my family has very strong Jewish roots. And I'll explain more about that later on. So I see that a lot of you are already on, and let me just acknowledge some of you. Hello, Lauren. Good morning. And some of my other friends that are also tuning in. I'd like to start coffees with my coffee segment with something very positive. Because obviously in our present situation or present day, there's always a lot of rhetoric out there that may be hateful, that you might feel that is not waking you up in a proper way. So let me begin by introducing my mug. And it says, too bad it's reverse, to save time, let's just assume I'm never wrong. Let me repeat that. To save time, let's just assume I'm never wrong. Now, why is that relevant today? First of all, as I said, I want to start with something positive. So I really want to give a big shout out to all the divers and the Navy SEALs from Thailand, and apparently a lot of nations also were involved, especially the Australian team and Dr. Richard Harris, the world-renowned physician who is also a cave explorer and has done some cave rescues. I would like to give a big shout out to this team, because in this day of sad news and horrible news, we had some wonderful news that the 12 boys and their soccer coach were actually rescued all alive from the caves of Thailand after having been under the ground and the water for 17 days. All of them are recovering very nicely in the hospital. And unfortunately, there was a life lost. However, the whole operation is deemed a success because there was cooperation among nations. It was teamwork. Teamwork, once again, saved the day. And that's what's important about that whole operation. That no matter who was in danger, we all came together. We all came together as one world, unified in one go, to make sure that those boys returned home safely to their parents and their families. Unfortunately, Dr. Harris, when he came out, apparently he was the last person out of the cave. He received bad news that his father had died. And of course, we lost one Thai Navy SEAL. And obviously, we would like to say some prayers for those people involved. Speaking of fathers, yesterday was my father's 10th death anniversary. I wish he was alive today. Once in a while, I have a vision of him smiling down from heaven. He's smiling down at me and he's saying, "My goodness, my little girl, so ambitious as always. But you stay on the course because you're a strong lady and I know you can make it. So Daddy, keep on praying for me and advocating for the stuff that I'm doing." Today also, unfortunately, because healthcare is a topic that's very close to my heart, I've received news that one of my relatives in the Philippines is having some healthcare issues, and I'd like to give a shout out that please stay strong. We will take care of you. I also received some bad news that one of the young men who grew up literally in our household because they would do sleepovers here as a special friend or a friend of my, one of the friends and classmates of my eldest son has just recently been diagnosed with cancer and he has no health insurance. My aunt back at home also has no health insurance. A recent family member who collapsed also had no health insurance. These are people who are not lazy, and these are people who need our help. And that's why I fight. And I continue to fight. Because there are people out there who may not be as lucky as the rest of us. I also, my husband's role in the morning is to look through the newspaper and see what's the news of the day. And let me share some of this news with you before I get into my cup. Today there was an ad stating about Rick Scott. And I don't know if you get your Pensacola News Journal. And the question is, do you care about people living with AIDS? Now, you may not know anyone who is living with HIV or AIDS, but this is very important, and let me tell you why. You probably do not know that nearly 5,000 people in Florida were infected with HIV in 2016 alone, which means 1 out of every 8 new HIV infections in the United States occurred in Florida. We are third in the nation with reported new HIV diagnosis. There are nearly 136,000 Floridians estimated to be living with HIV. More than 30,000 Floridians currently living with HIV are not receiving care for their infection. And Governor Scott obviously has denied patients this coverage that could be provided by Positive Healthcare, a Medicaid-managed healthcare plan run by AIDS Healthcare Foundation. Another reason why we need change in the midterm elections. Here's another one. And this really, you should be concerned about too, because we are in a state or a district that has a very heavy military presence. And just in case all of you out there who are still saying that all I talk about is healthcare and it doesn't affect you, maybe you should start paying attention. There is now the Senate version of the fiscal 2019 National Defense Authorization Act, S2987. If you're not aware of that, I suggest you look it up. But what it basically means is there will now be higher, the word there is higher, TRICARE cost shares to apply, which means that for families who are relying on TRICARE for their services would now see an increase of thousands of dollars, their annual copays, deductibles, and more out-of-network services. Now, I see that in my clinic because it confuses us all the time. Just the fact that which pharmacy do they need to go to or can they go to? First it was Walgreens, then it was CVS, then it was this, then it was that, and now it's back to Walgreens. You might think, well, it's just pharmacy. No. We're talking about millions of people who don't even know where they're supposed to go. They're shuttling their information from one pharmacy to another, and all the offices are getting bombarded with unnecessary paperwork. So let me just give you an example, and then I'll go on to my next topic. The TRICARE Prime enrollment fee for retirees would jump 21%. 21%. So instead of paying a first ever enrollment fee of $450 for individual coverage and $900 for families, that would jump to 21%. But I could go on and on and on, and it would bore you in this Sunday morning. But my point is, if you're still on the fence as to who you're supposed to vote for in this midterm elections, I'm a little confused, and perhaps you should enlighten me. Because unless we discuss things out in the open with the other congressional candidates, unless we really know what we stand for, how are you going to make an informed decision? We can all write all the talking points in our websites. We can all pretend or say or memorize talking points. But when you are challenged with that belief, when you are challenged by your constituents as to exactly how you would defend your belief, then that's the meat of who you are. The constituents deserve to know what's in your heart and in your mind, and how strongly you believe in your convictions. I make an effort every Sunday morning to say hello to you and share a cup of coffee, because I don't want to presume that I'm never wrong. Because unless we have a discussion, I'm just going to tell you that what I believe in is the correct view. See now how this cup is important in our discussion this morning? So District 1, if you're still not sure who you're supposed to vote for, what's stopping you? What do you want to hear? What do you want all of us to discuss? Because truly, I've been on every social media account. I've expressed my views. Anything that's put out there, the articles, the comments, the discussions, I discuss with a team. I have a team of military experts. I have a team who are very social media savvy. I have millennials. I have people who represent the LGBTQ community. I think I represent everybody. We're a very diverse group. And everything that we put out there, we have a discussion. Because I want to make sure that I'm reaching out to everyone that I believe has not been reached out to yet. Let me give you a quote. Let me give you a quote, very important one. And I want all of you to listen. For far too long, we have voted for people who we think will win, rather than people who we think are right. End quote. That's from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The 28-year-old female, upstart, wannabe, social democrat, stands for social justice. Yeah, that one. The bartender who graduated from Boston University. That one. The lady who grew up in Queens. The lady who unseated in the primary almost a 20-year congressman who was supposed to be in line next to Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, that one. The one who was told that she never had a chance to win. The one who was told that she didn't belong in that race. The one who was of Puerto Rican descent. Female, different, out of the box. So come on, District 1. What's stopping you? Let me see if you're making comments right now. Well, all I see are thumbs up and hearts. I'm challenging you, District 1. I want to know how you feel and what you're thinking of. Because I can't defend my position if I don't know what's keeping you on the fence. I am perplexed and frankly, a little disappointed. I have been invited to several debates and forums. I have accepted each and every one of them because I feel honored to be invited to sit at the table. Because you see, as a female and as an immigrant and as a mother, I felt that for far too long we had no representation. For far too long we have sent the same kind of people to Congress. And as a Democratic Party, we have not been courageous. We have always thought inside the box. However, I am quite disappointed because despite the fact that I have accepted all invitations, all of these debates and that have been set up have been canceled, not because of me. So I feel that my views too are not being heard. And these groups are okay. And you, District 1, it's okay with you. We'll just let it settle like that? I don't understand. You say you have not decided yet. You're not sure. You say that this woman cannot win in a general election. Well, why not? Why don't we come and find out what I'm made of? Why don't we set the date? Let's debate. Let's find out exactly what the district wants. You tell me and my opponent, and we'll discuss it in a rational manner. I don't see any problem with that. What are you afraid of, communities? I mean, what are you afraid of, District 1? This community that I have been working in very hard for the last 20 years, they know me. They've trusted me with the care of their children and their families. I'd like to think that the rest of you would trust me to represent you in Congress. But somehow, you're still afraid. Is it because I'm totally out of the box? You see, the opponents, they're used to debating or fighting the same kind of people that we put out there. They've never debated a strong woman like me. They've never had to be up on stage with someone who actually knows healthcare in and out, immigration in every step of the way, being a mother, being responsible for my healthcare, my small business. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a politician. As they say, I would have been in politics a long time ago, but it's full of politicians. But you see, District 1, I was content to be a supporter until the elections of 2016. I woke up. I woke up because I thought, wait a minute, they've undermined this election. Our leaders are not exactly speaking for the rest of us. And so I became aware, and even more aware that the kind of voices that I needed to hear were not out there. That's why I'm in this fight. But that's up to you, District 1. That's up to you. You think about it long and hard. Because if you're still afraid to push the envelope, you will never get the results that you want. You're always touting, be the change you want to see. Be the change that you want to see in the world. That's exactly why I'm running. I want to be the change. I want to be the brave young soul who put her foot forward when no one else did. Ladies and gentlemen of District 1, I am the first congressional candidate from the Democratic Party who happens to be a female. If I win this primary, I'll be the first one that you will send on the stage for the general election with a Republican opponent. I'm not afraid. I think I'm qualified. My heart is in the right place. But this game does not require only a heart. It requires every ounce of your humanity to come out there and advocate for those who don't have a voice. For those who might be afraid. I had courage to step forward. What else do I need to do? I have some very interesting comments here. But basically, I think what this means is that when you are in the privacy of your home and you're trying to decide who to support, what to do during the midterms, keep the bigger goal in mind. You have always in this district, you have always chosen the safe choice. But remember, safe doesn't always win. Let's take, for example, the presidential election in 2016. We all thought Hillary would win. She was very qualified. On paper, she definitely had the resume that we all could aspire to. Intelligent, a successful woman in her own right. Secretary of State. I mean, she had all the bullet points that we would want in a very intelligent, successful woman. And yet she lost to the man that we did not feel was qualified. Why? He was perceived as brave, bold, alpha male, spoke to their senses, spoke to their fears. But the key word there is connection. He connected to the population. You need a candidate who would represent you, who could connect to you, who could reach across the aisle, not because they would pitter-patter in their decisions, but because they have the capacity to talk to all kinds of people. Probably because of the experiences they've had in life. All my life, I have worked hard to where I have reached this point. No one has ever given me anything on a silver spoon. That's okay. That's why I think I can do this job. Here's the thought, District 1. Why don't you send me messages as to why you think I will not win in the general election? I challenge you. Talk to me. Tell me, so I have a chance to defend myself. But unless you see me in action up there, how do you know? How do you know I won't be able to stand up to the big Republican machine? How do you know that we can't do this? Remember, as Henry Ford once said, whether you can or you can't, you're right. Well, let me tell you, I definitely think that I can. I can represent this district with confidence and with humanity and decency that's sorely lacking in our present political climate. I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm here to challenge all of you. As I said, you don't want me to presume that you think that I'm always right. You want to hear what I can do for you. It's up to you, District 1. So, let me remind everybody of two things that are really important to me. As I end this Coffee with Dr. Z today, as I said, I end it with a challenge to all my constituents or future constituents. Please send me a message. Tell me what's in your heart and why you're afraid. Why you're afraid to think outside the box. Why you're afraid to send someone that this Democratic Party has never sent before. And let me remind you, for the past 25 years, when Joe Scarborough won in 1995, we have never won an election. Let me repeat that. 25 years since Joe Scarborough, we have never won an election. You might want to take a look back and see what kind of candidates we have sent. You know what kind of candidates the Democratic Party has sent. Basically the same mold. And you know what the results were. So send me a message and tell me why I am still not the right choice for this district. And let me end this with a quote from a Holocaust survivor named Elie Wiesel. I swore never to be silent whenever and wherever human beings endure suffering and humiliation. We must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. Sometimes we must interfere. When human lives are endangered, when human dignity is in jeopardy, national borders and sensitivities become irrelevant. Wherever men or women are persecuted because of their race religion, or political views. That place must, at that moment, become the center of the universe. That's why I'm running. I've been waiting for this kind of voice for all these years. And because no one else did, I did it myself. Now it's up to you, District 1. Are you with me? Have a good day.